Hey guys, it is Jessica and Jessica here, and we are doing an after the show special after the Going Scared podcast. I hope you guys have that all queued up if you haven't listened to it already. But we got to interview Jessica Turner for the Going Scared podcast yesterday that went live, and we are talking about working momming it and how we are stretched too thin. So, Jess, you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Sure. I'm Jessica Turner. I'm author of the new book. I've got it right here, Stretched Too Thin, How Working Moms Can Lose the Guilt, Work Smarter, and Thrive. I work full-time in corporate America and have 3 small kids and a husband. So I'm doing all the things. I've got a big side hustle online as well. So I relate a lot to the Noonday ambassador community.
Yes. Okay. So this is so funny this morning. So we've been in a home remodel for 7 months. It is the holidays. We can't even put a tree up in our room this year because like where we put the tree up has got like undone drywall.
Right.
Working, it's a crazy season at Noonday because it's our selling season. Had 2 days of offsites this week with the whole exec team. And I just sat there this morning kind of looking at my house and I just said, man, I'm feeling kind of stretched too thin. Like
Right.
and I was like, this is why Jessica wrote her book. So
Yeah.
I'm curious because now you've been out on the road, you've been meeting with women about this book. What are some of the biggest takeaways, the biggest hacks that women are writing into you saying, oh my gosh, thank you so much. I really needed to hear this. Like, because I feel like now more than ever, like I've got a choir concert tonight for my daughter. I got Christmas shopping to do. I mean, it's like there's no time like today to feel stretched too thin for working moms. So what are some of those biggest hacks you've been hearing about?
The biggest takeaway that women have said to me is the concept of mental load. And I think we talked about this on the podcast as well. So mental load is the largely invisible job of noticing and remembering. And it's really heightened during the holidays, right? Because we're thinking about buying all of those Christmas gifts. We're thinking about all the additional things on our calendar and all of the like have to do's. And that is called mental load. And because it's invisible, it's not even recognized that we have this other job of remembering all of these things. And so just being able to articulate that tension and that stress has been really empowering for women.
That's so true. And so it's just a matter of noticing, like that's the hack, or what's kind of the hack? Like what do we do with that once we do notice?
Yep. So once you understand the concept of mental load, then you need to release some of that mental load. And we can do that in a couple of different ways. One is asking for help. So if you're married, your spouse is not a mind reader. And a lot of times it's just about communication. It's saying, hey, I need to get the Christmas cards out today. On your way to work, can you drop them off at the post office? So you're not thinking, oh, this is one more thing that I have to do, right? It is communicating, it's delegating, it's getting that support, it's involving our kids as well. Like our kids live in our house, right? They should be helping. And too often, I think women put undue stress on themselves that they need to do all of the things instead of getting some support. The other thing is to let go, right? Like we do not need to live up to this Pinterest perfection of what our lives should look like or the highlight reels of what we're seeing on other people's Instagrams. And we need to instead stay in our lane and look at what it is that we want to do for the holidays, for just daily, everyday life. Like, what is it that is really going to resonate with us and our story? What do we need to do? And focus on those things instead of looking side to side what everyone else is doing. And that's going to give you a lot of freedom. And then on the practical side, like let's automate our lives. Like what is it that you can automate? Can you automate toilet paper coming to your house? Juice boxes. I had baby wipes arrive yesterday. Like by automating all of those things, you then aren't thinking, oh, we're almost out of toilet paper. Oh, we're almost out of baby wipes. Like I have all of those set up with Amazon Prime, Growth Collaborative, Target.com. Those are all coming to my house so that I'm not having to think about those things.
You know, this happens to be birthday season for me. Like all of my best friends seem to be having birthdays in like October, November. And one of my best friend's birthdays was this week. And so it was a mental load thing. It was like, oh my gosh, birthday card. And then I remembered I went ahead and bought a stack of birthday cards that I just have sitting in a drawer.
Yes.
And it really like that. I was like, whew, okay. Like one less thing. Awesome. And we do gift cards a lot for birthday presents. And so it was like, okay, I just need to remember to buy a whole bunch of like Target gift cards when I'm there, so that when the birthday party comes, it's like not the mental load to go where now I have to make an extra trip.
Absolutely.
So there are these little tiny hacks that they're so minor, but if it's minor to just buy a bunch of birthday cards. It's minor to subscribe for toilet paper. It's minor to go ahead and get your kids' birthday presents ahead of time for all the parties. But you do enough of that, and that it's that mental load of like, oh my gosh, I don't now have to figure out when I have to go do this. It's just sort of already done for you. And I'm not a type A person, so those are little easy things for me because I'm not that organized. Okay. So I want to know a little bit, like the holiday season is a time where we tend to, extra stuff does come onto our plates. How has your holiday season changed as you've embraced some of these new strategies around being a working mom?
So I have really leaned in on what are the need to do's versus the nice to do's. I think early in my motherhood journey, I thought, to have a magical Christmas, we have to do everything. We have to go see all the lights, all the shows, do all the pictures, all the things. And then I've just come to realize that all of those things aren't actually enjoyable. And honestly, putting too many of them on the plate are really stressful. I think sometimes we think that just because something is a good thing, it is not maybe a great thing for our lives right now. And I think that's what we need to remember. Just because it's good, it doesn't mean it's good for you right now. And so as it relates to the holidays, our family sits down and we say, okay, what are our need to do's this holiday season? What is going to make Christmas magical for you? For us, it's going to see a Christmas show, and it's going to see lights, and it's making cookies, and the elf on the shelf cleaning up his mess every day. Like that's a big thing for my kids. And so
you just named 3 more things that I'm doing right now. So I'm impressed.
Exactly. So you figure out what those things are. And then as the other things come up, you say, you know what? That wasn't on my need to do list to make this Christmas special. So I'm not going to stress about it if I can't do it. And you're going to be okay with that. Like my work's holiday Christmas party, I wasn't able to do it this year. And you know what? It wasn't on my list of this is going to make Christmas for me. And so I didn't feel guilty when I said no. I think also be comfortable with saying no during the holidays. Like you're never going to regret saying no, but you might regret saying yes. So go ahead and do that hard no right now. And you're going to be so much less overwhelmed and be able to enjoy the holidays a lot more.
I love that idea of just sitting down and being intentional about what's going to make this season feel special for me, however you might celebrate the holiday season. And that automatically does that whole noticing thing. And then if you can make that list, that clears a mental load for when you are about to pick something else up, like pick up yet another holiday party or pick up I don't know, for us, it's even about like what we're getting our kids for Christmas, because that's an easy place once you get to the store or once you get on Amazon to just kind of go, oh, fill your cart. And, oh, they would like that. So it's even like going, okay, I'm going to tone back. For us, it's interesting this year because we're having to do things differently because we are in the middle of a house remodel. So we didn't get out all of our Christmas tree decorations. We're not even putting lights in our front yard because there's like a giant, storage unit in our driveway. And it's just like everything's a hot mess. So we're sort of rethinking some of those things right now. How do you have
your Christmas isn't going to be crummy because of that, like that's not what Christmas is. And so I think just, again, that doesn't make it for you. And so that's what's important for people to recognize is what is important for your Christmas story.
Okay, so as we're going into 2019, and maybe some of us are getting to the end of this year and feeling a little stretched too thin, for those of us that are juggling work and mothering and all the multitasking that goes along with that, what are a couple of, it's kind of that same intentional activity you're suggesting us do for Christmas? How do we do that for our whole 2019? Because I know you've got some workbook. That's what I love about your book, is that it's like not just a read, it's an actual, like you work through, you have to pause, reflect, and think. So what are some of those activities that can help us go into this next year so that maybe when we arrive to December 2019, maybe we feel a little bit less mental load?
Yeah, at the end of every chapter of Stretch Too Thin, there are those reflection questions to really personalize it. But I'm going to camp on 2 that working moms say are the most overwhelming for them, that I think a lot of us probably want to do some sort of overhaul in our lives. And the first is self-care and figuring out how to make time for ourselves. And I feel like, Jess, you're such a great role model in this. You are so good about I mean, I love it. I mean, you're so good at it, and you're so good at demonstrating that you can be a hardworking woman who's taking care of herself. And it's really important to model that for our kids. And so I encourage women to track their time for a week to see where their time is going. And I think that's a great thing to do at the end of the year or right at the beginning of the year. Track your time for a week and see how you're spending your time and where you're investing and where there might be some opportunity to change some things about your schedule so that you can make time for yourself and make those doctor's appointments and make time to go to the gym and make time to make healthy meals so that you're not always running, for fast food and doing those types of things, because we are better wives, mothers, entrepreneurs, friends, coworkers, when we are taking care of ourselves and we're investing in ourselves first. And so I think taking a really honest look at how you've been doing that this year and maybe some changes that you need to make in 2019, maybe it's calling the doctor and saying, you know what, I haven't had a dentist appointment in a year or 2 years or 5 years,
I have my dental appointment today, and she can't even fit me until 2019 because I was like, it's almost the end of the year and I never went to the dentist this year.
Yes. And you're not the only one, right? And so make that appointment. Maybe that's the easy takeaway from listening to this today, is that you're going to go make that doctor's appointment. But I think prioritizing yourself and recognizing where you fit in instead of you being an afterthought, really making you like one of the most important things in your life, because you are. That's how you're going to be successful in those other areas. And then the other one is home management. 4 out of 5 working moms said that home management was a huge struggle for them. And so maybe think about what your home is like right now and what you'd like to change and set some goals for that. Maybe it is that you just want things to be tidier. And so you're going to create some systems to help with that in your house. Or maybe it's that, you just need to systematize some things with doing some of that automation that we talked about earlier. And so go ahead and set those things up. But think about, what are the pain points for me? Maybe it's that you're just taking on too much with your home and you need to let go of a couple things. But I think analyzing that, because how I know that for me, how my home is sort of how I feel, right? Like if my home's a hot mess, I'm feeling like a hot mess. And so if you can get some of those things kind of tidied up, but figuratively and literally, I think you'll feel a lot better.
It's so true. I think that's why I've reached an end with this home remodel, because I'm just like, you can only live so long with the kids, dresser drawers in your entryway.
Right.
Like our current situation.
Right.
Let's just get through this. Let's get through this. Well, I love that. And I just think it's so important. And, I love the new year. And I think it's really important to take, I love to take a day between now and the new year, or maybe the first week of the new year, but to really stop and reflect, because it really takes, in order to notice, you've got to pause. Mm-hmm. Right. And so I remember one time I was filling my car up with gas, and I was just like, oh, this is so annoying. I've got so much to get done. And like, why do I have to stop and get gas? And then I'm like, you have to turn off your car. And I remember this, like, you have to be still to be filled. Mm-hmm. You have to turn off to be, and I just remember that phrase came to me, and it's always stuck with me. Like there has to be stillness so that you can get filled. And I think as more women, as we model that for one another, we give each other permission, and we don't make it extra. Like self-care is not going to the dentist. That should be basic.
Twice a year.
Getting sleep at night.
Yes.
7 to 9 hours. This is baseline, people, Right. So it's like, we've got to quit. It's like, I wish we could come up with another word. Is it even self-care, or it's like, what is that? I mean, do you call brushing your teeth self-care, or it's just hygiene?
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, I just think there's certain things that we have elevated to be this like extra status or self-care status, but they actually are really just baseline hygiene for our lives in order to function as good moms and as good citizens in the world. And we're going to give ourselves permission in 2019. And thank you, because I feel like your book really does that. So
thank you for that.
50% off today on Amazon, you guys.
I know, $11 for a hardback. You cannot beat that price.
$11. It's awesome. Go check it out. And it really will help you to really reflect on how you can, I just want you to imagine right now, this time, December, whatever today is, I don't even know, 2019. maybe you feel just a little bit lighter this time next year because you took some time to reflect and plan for some of those things. So thanks so much for for coming on today, Jess.
Oh, it was my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Okay, see you later.